George? What's happening here?
Oh, so cute. I have a Curious George stuffed animal. I love monkeys. But like, it's a mix of they need to be out in nature, but also I want to hug them.
Oh, see, that's the thing. It's like humans. I want a monkey. You think the fucking monkey wants you? This is a weird world. Oh, no, you can't do both.
Exactly.
My light can't be out. You said some wild words just now. You said I recorded an interview and then Cat Williams came out of your mouth.
Did I? It's not that Cat Williams. it's a radio personality.
It's another Cat Williams.
Yeah, she's a radio personality. He turned on the microphone for nothing.
There's someone that goes by the name Cat Williams that is not actually Cat Williams. And how does she spell cat?
K-A-T.
That's so funny.
Yeah. She's so sweet too.
Is that her name?
Yeah, Cat.
That's her real name. Oh, she's smart. She was smart. That was a smart marketing move.
It was just a quick interview. I thought it was cool because I had microphones in a studio.
Why did any of this happen?
To promote the 5K that I planned.
Oh.
So they were just like interviewing me to see why I was doing it, and then the reason behind it, and then how to fundraise and how to get people out there.
I would love to know some of this because I don't know, like when you're talking about this, I don't know what you're talking about. When you're like, I put together a 5K, I put together this like pre-tailgating thing, this, I'm like, how do you even start to do that? And you, like...
Honestly, I kind of learned this year. When I started this new job, they kind of just threw me in the office and was like, yep, there's some folders on the shared drive. You can read through that and get to work. Your main focus is the walk, which is the Ask 5K and Fun Walk. So first thing I did was obviously like look up videos of it, see how much we had fundraised in the past, what my goal was. I had to build like a website and like social media posts. So I kind of just like researched the company. Like my first week there, I honestly was just researching everything. So I was kind of just locked in my office for 8 hours, reviewing their Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, everything online on how to fundraise, how to work for a nonprofit, all these things. So I kind of was like, I'm a logistics person. So I started with that. And I was like, okay, so this day, this is what I need. I want the kids to have fun. I started with the festivals. It's a little bit different in the nonprofit world because most of it has to be donated. A 5K actually costs a lot of money to throw. So we have to make it worth our while. So our goal was $185,000, and I had $40,000 as a budget to throw the 5K. And that included marketing, all the activities, the MC, the prizes, all the communications. So I just went into it logistically first, and I set up the festival. A lot of like inflatables, getting discounts everywhere because I'm like, it's for children with cancer. Please help us. Yeah. So like I lowered our budget, which was pretty awesome. And then once I had all of that organized and good to go, then I had to focus on the fundraising aspect. So it's basically like you're a salesperson for the nonprofit.
Yeah.
So like I need to meet with sponsors, everybody in the community. We also I gotta get used to that.
Yeah, sometimes when I speak about my last job, I say we have this. Oh, yeah. Wait, no, it's not we anymore.
I still absolutely love Ask.
Does that stand for something?
Assistance, support, and kindness.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's the Ask Childhood Cancer Foundation. They just expanded to all of Virginia this year. Another really cool thing.
How did you even get this gig? Like, if you didn't have prior experience in this?
So I had some event planning.
Oh, okay.
My sister has a startup prize, which is basically an app on your phone that your company can get, and you get points for not being on your phone during your work shift, and then you can redeem them for prizes. It's cool. You can get like a PlayStation.
Wow, you get points for the amount of time. So you clock in somehow. Like they know when you're at work. Like
so you have the app on your phone.
Yeah.
And then you turn it on once you get into work. And for not using it, it has like a timer.
Wow.
So they can do that. And then other companies like giving you points for stuff. Like say your focus is like upselling a coffee this week. So every time you upsell a coffee, you get 5 points. And then it creates like a whole profile for you that your employer can look at and see, like, make sure you're meeting goals, and it rewards you.
And your sister came up with this? Mm-hmm. And why? Was she like having a hard time focusing? And like, what was the inspiration behind?
So actually, the Great American Cookies at Fair Oaks was her and her boyfriend's, and also the one in Potomac. And when you're working for like a small little food thing, kind of like Auntie Anne's or something, your main employees are going to be like high school students after school. So it's really hard to get a high school student to put their phone down.
Wow, this is so interesting.
It's really cool. She has like a TikTok and everything, and she'll post like the prizes that they're winning. Like she has like accounts with McDonald's and stuff like that.
That was just so cool though, that she was running a business. She has these kids that won't get the fuck off their phone. And she's like, how, like, she just, I guess the inspiration, like the juices start flowing. She's like, how could I get people off their phones and just work? Yeah. And then the idea of creating creating incentive to do such. Wow, that's so cool. Man, the entrepreneurial spirit in some people is amazing. Crazy.
Yeah, and it was really fun watching like how they set it up, because it was like my sister and her boyfriend were both like feeding off of each other's ideas, and like they're still in it together, and they're like co-founders, and they've done so much. Like now they have an office in Arlington and like a great building. They are set up with different startups, and they are traveling all the time. Like they've been Canada, Hawaii. They entered a program in Puerto Rico that help them get everything started and investors and stuff like that. So they travel to Puerto Rico a lot and have a lot of accounts there too, which as a Puerto Rican, I really like, because she's bringing like employees, marketing and stuff to Puerto Rico. Plus she gets to visit all the time.
Yeah, employees and marketing. And she's bringing them, or she's like creating. Yeah, because from the understanding that I get is Puerto Rico is just another one of many places, probably sort of like the Hawaii, where, like it's kind of being colonized in a sense. And a lot of people are upset because of the amount of people coming there and like buying real estate and all this sort of stuff. And the people on the island feel like they're losing their land. Absolutely. Have you heard anything about this?
I could talk days about this, but the main issue with that is the Jones Act. I don't know if you've heard about it. It's a law in Puerto Rico that allows people to come to the island to, like you said, invest in real estate and all of these things and like big corporations. For example, Logan Paul, he moves to Puerto Rico because of the Jones Act, because that means that they don't have to pay taxes. So that's a lot of money.
So that's the incentive to go there and buy stuff up, is you won't have to pay taxes if you do so.
Yes.
Damn.
And it has to be somebody from outside the island. So yes, it was bringing people to Puerto Rico, but how is it benefiting us?
Like benefiting. Like benefiting the Puerto Ricans. See, so when I went to Hawaii, I had this feeling going through. I had this feeling that some people were very, very happy that tourists came through. Probably because them and their families somehow did well because of that. Like they were able to start up a business or whatever. Now it's booming because of the amount of tourism going through. And then I also got a feeling that maybe other people didn't feel that way. And so it's just about like who benefits and who doesn't at that point.
Yeah. So for example, put yourself in the shoes of somebody that has lived in, say, San Juan for the majority of their life or all of their life. And this house has been passed down from generation to generation, or they're paying a rent that's like $300, $400. And all of a sudden this real estate investor from the US comes not paying taxes, buys the house for a steal or buys the rented apartment for a steal and says you have 30 days to vacate or your rent is going to be $2,000. So what are they supposed to do at that point? So they're taking people's homes, they're destroying communities. They
well, I guess that's gentrification at its finest.
Yeah. So, because like, what's more beneficial to you as a business person, having somebody live in your house for $400 a month, or renting it out on Airbnb for $400 a night?
Yeah.
You know, and they're slowly pushing Puerto Ricans out of their homes.
So spring breakers can come and enjoy themselves down in San Juan.
And don't get me wrong, tourism is great. It definitely brings like a lot of economy and moves things along in the island. But at the same time, where are the Puerto Ricans benefiting in this? And I think I was actually livid when I heard this. But so a real estate investor came, and his thought, or like his justification of it, of like turning each condo into $1 million condo, was it's bringing jobs to Puerto Ricans because now they can clean it and do valet for it. That's not what we want to do. Like, are you kidding me?
It sounds a little, just like when you say those words. Did that person say those words?
Yeah.
It sounds a little.
No, I was so mad. I was livid.
Yeah, that's just like. It just sounds a little insensitive, like,
yeah,
and that's putting it lightly.
But like, that's what it is, though. Yes, we work in hospitality.
Damn, so they can come clean it and pull up my car. Go park my Lamborghini.
Like,
oh no,
seriously?
Yeah, that sounds. Man, that's so weird. That's so weird that's how like capitalism works. Like, you just, like, someone makes money, they have incentives through the system to go somewhere and try to set up shop doing something, but that in turn is going to naturally push some other people out, is going to create some opportunity from some other people. But that's the thing. It's like, it's always so weird when you realize that in extremely beautiful, wealthy places, if you take like a left, a right, and you go straight for a little bit, there's a hood just right down the street. Absolutely. Like 13 minutes away, if even that far. And like, you can always find those places.
Yeah, it's like La Perla. Have you heard of La Perla?
No.
It's like big in Puerto Rico that we keep on telling tourists not to go to La Perla. It's in Old San Juan. You go down some stairs, but that is the hood. That's like that's where you get your drugs. You know, like, no phones are allowed. It's not a tourist area. It's beautiful. It's like a whole bunch of, like, you could probably see it, and like anytime, like when you Google it, all the houses are different colors. It's a beautiful scene, but it's not for you. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then they'll go down, they'll take their phone out, they'll get killed, and then all of a sudden Puerto Rico is the most violent place ever. We told you not to go. There's signs everywhere there that are like hand painted that say, do not pull your cell phone out. Oh. So why would you pull your cell phone out?
Oh man, yeah. People don't know. They get that culture shock real fast. They just don't understand that every place is not the States. I would say, because I was going to say America, but the States. Yeah. And then there are places in the States where you don't want to walk down the street and pull your phone out.
It's disrespectful. Like, where you can't like walk down the street. Yeah, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I live in Richmond, and I know what streets to avoid.
Yeah, you would think that some people have a sense. Like, you just kind of, that's what I was saying. Like, like I was in Maui. Rest in peace, a lot of them. And we would be in the touristy part, right? And we're in Airbnbs, we're riding around, there are acai bowl shops everywhere.
For $20.
Yeah, for sure. Everything's for a mango's $20. Like, everything, you know what I mean? And we just having a ton of fun. But then we wanted to go out and do some other stuff, because I wanted to have a good mix of doing touristy things and then just a kind of exploring and stuff. And I wanted to hike. So in order to get to some of the trails and the mountains that we wanted to get to, you were going to have to go through some pelas. You know what I mean? Like, you might have to go through some, but we drove through them. Yeah. We didn't get out the car and start trying to take selfies. Yeah, no. So we drove through, but as we started to, like, cross this bridge and like take this ride, we were like, oh, this is where just regular people live. Like, oh, fuck. Like, you come to Hawaii and you just think, Hawaii, it's so much fun. Like, oh, the sun and the this and the. But it's like, no, wait, we're the natives. Like, we're the people that actually live here. And then, like, we found those, and you just get the sense that, oh, okay, yeah, you guys are experiencing the inverse reality of Hawaii here. It's a little different over here.
And I mean, the sad part too is I don't know, this probably isn't the case in Hawaii, but in Puerto Rico, again, like the Jones Act, like they're getting a tax relief, and then the taxes are so high in Puerto Rico, it's ridiculous. Like I believe sales tax is at 14%, and then you have to also like factor in importing costs. So like a car that's valued over here at like $15,000. Now you have to pay for transporting it from the U.S. on a boat to Puerto Rico, paying docking, paying taxes. So it like bumps it up like $6,000. So we're living in the ghetto. Y'all are making us.
Yeah, I was about to say this is interesting, and it. What's more interesting about it is when you say y'all is. What is the sense that you get from the taxation without representation there, right? Because you all are a part of the America. Like you guys are part of the your territory. You know, you're not a state, but neither is DC. You know, so
but DC gets to vote for the president.
They do get to vote. But see, so this is the thing. So I've heard that there's a fissure, a chasm, and some people clearly would want to, and some people don't want to take that on.
Yeah.
What is your sense of that?
Okay, so there is 3 main political parties in Puerto Rico. One that wants to become state 51st state, and then the other one that wants to stay a commonwealth, and then the third that wants to be independent. Personally, I'm all for independence. I don't want to be a part of the U.S., but it's mostly because I think Puerto Rico has the resources and grounds to be able to do it on their own, and actually have a say in their government. So because we can elect a governor and our mayors and all of that, but we can't vote for the president. But the president that's in office directly affects us.
So you think, okay, see, because I haven't been. So you think that they would be able to do this? Because when you say, how is this helping Puerto Ricans, like this Jones Act and all this sort of stuff, like clearly, I'm thinking, why are they doing this? Like if it's hurting the people, like clearly the government would like to
corruption
would do this. So it just comes down to corruption.
Oh, the government in Puerto Rico is probably one of the most corrupt governments there is. So the Jones Act came from the political party. So the governor that was in office at the time that was signed was the one that wants to become the 51st state. So their mentality was, let us bring investors to Puerto Rico so that they can establish their business here, give them a tax break, give them incentive, and then they'll create jobs for us. In reality, we just have the government signing all of these big contracts with American companies that are affecting us negatively, but since the government is getting money from it, they don't really care. Like the electricity. So Loomis, that is an American company. We were promised that it was a private company that would finally regulate the electricity in Puerto Rico, because again, after Hurricane Maria, it was even more of a disaster than it normally is. So like power is going out all the time. The bills are crazy high. So they hired Loomis. And then all of a sudden we get normal Puerto Ricans, like middle class, getting $600 a month electricity bills. And the electricity was out for a week at a time.
Oh, no, you can't do both.
Exactly.
No, my light can't be out for a week.
Yeah.
And I gotta pay $600.
Yeah. So while they're making millions of dollars, we're struggling to keep our lights on. And it's sad because we're going through like hurricane season.
You still have a lot of family
Yeah.
Okay.
And
because you keep saying we, kind of like your job, ask, and I'm like, well, you're here.
Okay, well,
in my podcast studio right now, but your heart is there, which is why you see, you still
I go
speak
as much
for
as
the
I
people.
can.
You feel for them.
My grandma's over there, and my aunts.
How are they doing? Like,
they are doing pretty well. Again, like the electricity bills are like kind of out of control. The heat isn't like crazy right now, or it was like in the 113 degrees. Like it was bad. So imagine that plus your electricity's out, so you can't turn on the AC. So like it gets bad, but they're doing pretty well. Sadly, most of my cousins are here now. We're dying to go back, but we can't.
Oh, I was about to say, sadly, like, do they like it here? Like, do they?
I have some that do, and some that absolutely don't.
Why don't they?
Oh, I get it. Like
is it the culture they don't like?
It's a culture shock. I don't know. Like I have experienced racism here. That wasn't really. It's not really a thing. Like it is like a thing, but like not as intense as it is in America. Like I had never experienced something like that. And to go somewhere where somebody didn't even want to talk to me, look me in the eyes or something just because I was speaking Spanish was like, whoa. So like you don't get that in Puerto Rico where everybody's a family.
Yeah, everyone. See that's the thing when you come from a place where just those people are those people, as opposed to a huge melting pot where people from different cultures have to kind of figure out like how to be around each other and accept each other for their differences, as small as it could just be a language, or like you eat different foods than I do, so now I don't like you, whatever the case is. That's very, very interesting. Yeah, but if you go to Puerto Rico, it's like Puerto Ricans, so it's just like, hey, you're Puerto Rican too. What's going on? Good morning.
Yeah, and I think it's just like a different culture, and I've been able to associate more with African Americans here because their culture is more similar to the Puerto Rican culture than Caucasians. Just because
they're
more welcoming, they're loving. We're more closer to family. We help each other. We share. It's like where one person can eat, two people can eat, kind of thing, and that mentality. And gringos are just separated. They're all in their own world. Like they don't care about their neighbor, kind of thing. Does that make sense?
It's very interesting. I was talking to this guy the other day, and he said that he had, and hopefully I'm going to have him on the pod at some point, but he said that when his family was the poorest, like they were the closest they could ever be.
Yeah.
And it's not the same anymore now that they have more money. And I would like to talk to him more about that. Well, I wonder, just as you're talking to me about this, I'm thinking about just jobs coming and industries coming to Puerto Rico and all this sort of stuff. And I'm not just one to shun the entire idea of capitalism, but there's something about people just having a simpler life. It's like maybe we're not gonna have what you guys have. Maybe we're not gonna all have iPhones with 9 cameras on them, and we're not all gonna work at the Amazon factory and all this sort of stuff. We're not gonna have all of that, but what we can do, we can sustain on our own. Like we figured out how to live for quite some time on our own, and we're loving and we're caring and we're happier without all of that shit.
It's like a generation thing too. Like I was just reading that the new generations are trying to get rid of that hustle culture that was set by the baby boomers. So I think that's where it comes to, that they just want to make more money. They want to work not a normal 9 to 5, but they want to hustle all the time. There has to be a balance, I think. I am big on, yes, I'll work. I love what I do, but also there's so much more to life.
Yeah.
There's so much more to just hustling and then dying. Like that's
well, when you put it that way, this seems to make some sense.
Like I get the hustle if you're like super passionate and it's like
you don't have to wear the headphones if it's like uncomfortable or.
I just have a small head. They keep on falling.
Whatever's most comfortable for you.
It makes it feel like more.
I just liked it. Yeah, I just liked it because it kind of like it zones you in a bit more. So that's why I like to wear them.
I like it. It's just
a
little big.
I got you. That's so funny. The whole hustle and die.
I mean, that's the reality.
Yeah.
Like, you know, we have all these people. That's like the Airbnb thing. So we have all these investors buying up all these houses that are ruining the housing market just so that they can rent it out on Airbnb and keep on making like millions of dollars. But at the same time, I would love to live there. Like, it's like, hey, you can't afford a house, but here, pay this rent. That's like,
I would love to know
what
they teach in business ethics class. Like as you
don't have them,
you know, like as you're going through business management and you want entrepreneurship and you're learning about these things because
you want ethics. You should have studied human resources.
So you don't think that the two can coexist. Well, you don't think the two can coexist, or
I mean they have to coexist because there's always going to be an HR department somewhere. Yeah. I think they would clash a lot.
Yeah,
obviously.
Yeah, like the inherent occurrence of a business is going to cause some malware in the society. Is that you believe that, like, no matter what you do?
I don't think it should be that way.
Okay.
I think there's a way to do it.
There is a way. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Like you see all these new startups that have a good work culture. They have balance. They find a way to still make the money that they want to make, but also treating their employees right, which is the main thing, right? So if you pay them enough, they're going to treat your company like it's their company. They're going to give you their best performance and you're still going to profit, even if you're giving them some of your profits. You know what I mean? Like it can still increase it. It's like investing in them.
I guess it's about people punch that thing all the time.
Sorry. My headphones are falling off.
It's like, I guess it's about takeover. It's about expansion. Like to what degree, like at what point does the expansion of your business or your endeavor start to hinder or take away from other people's livelihood or just quality of life? I guess that's kind of the question. Because if you think about someone who's starting up, like if I want to bake pies, right, and I start baking pies in this house and start selling them out of this house, there's no, so far, ethically speaking, I haven't really broken any codes. Except for I'm just, giving people a bunch of sugar pies, right?
My Geico's coming out. Did you get insurance?
Yeah.
You need a general liability for that.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true because then somebody, says, "Hey, listen, I ate
your pie made me sick.
I ate one of your pies." But see, that's protection, But I haven't taken anyone's land. I haven't harmed anyone in any sort of way.
Anybody.
I'm not bothering anyone. But then the question is, okay, now I have a lot of people buying my pies. Mm-hmm. So then I want to buy a store.
Okay.
Right. And then I go and I buy a store nearby. So far, it doesn't seem like I've done anything wrong yet. Or have I already? If I buy the store, is like, maybe was that store mine? Should it have been someone else's? With
that mentality, everything's wrong.
Right, exactly. So I'm trying to see how far we get. So now I buy a store, I'm selling pies out the store.
I think you hit the kind of bad person vibe when you hire somebody at minimum wage and overwork them in your new store because you need a break.
Well, in that case, you may not be able to even sustain because you also have to.
Yeah, but there's a balance. So give them.
Because people are going to be like, well, I'm not going to make pies for minimum wage because I'm going to go to McDonald's and make however much more, or I'm going to go work over here and get benefits.
Small businesses.
Yeah.
Capitalism.
Being an entrepreneur is very, very difficult. But I imagine trying to stay ethically sound as you get larger and larger is difficult. There's a lot more you have to consider.
I think it's thinking about it in the beginning too. So if you want to be a small business owner, you need to be realistic about it. You need to know that in the first couple of years, you're not going to be making a profit, and you need to be mentally ready for that. Because I think that's where all the frustration, the breakdowns,
financially ready for that.
Exactly. And everything can come. So you can hire somebody at minimum wage, but just know that you're still not going to be making a lot of money. Like, you can't expect a lot from them. You still have to put like your heart and soul in it. And that's a lot of work. And not a lot of people can do that. And it's going to take years before you can actually be a business owner and take a step back.
Yeah.
I think owning your business is...
I think it's something innate in us. Like, have you ever watched Chimp Empire on Netflix?
I haven't.
You got these chimps in the Ngogo forest, I believe it's called. And you have like the eastern chimps and the western chimps. And there's more, it seems that there's more than enough food. Like, they're just eating fruits and tree bark and shit like that. Like, there's more than enough, but there's also this need to expand. And by the way, the colony doesn't expand past a certain number, because once it starts to expand past a certain number, they start to like kill each other. Like, they like to stay within certain groups, like certain numbers, right?
You're always going to want more. I literally just thought of Animal Crossing, and I was like, no, but I need more things.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, but I just want to go, like, we have more than enough room here and food here, but there's just like this curiosity, like, but what's over across that hill though? Like, let's just go over there. And then you go over there and you're like, oh, there's some pretty cool stuff over here too. Like, we can hang out here too.
Can I share a monkey theory with you?
But then there's another monkey also wanting to come hang out in that area from another tribe. And it's like, but you have enough over there and I have enough over here. But there's just something in us that now is like, oh, fuck it. Now it's on. Yeah. Because of this other space that we both don't need. So there's like this weird thing in us to just conquer and colonize and just
keep on going
and keep expanding and keep learning, keep innovating and it seems like we can't stop ourselves from wanting more. It's very fascinating. It's very fascinating.
I honestly, my monkey theory is monkeys are very smart. I think they are smart enough to be like humans, but like humans set credit scores and jobs, and they don't want that, so they have to act up. So they have to act stupid. Credit score.
So they're really like the chimps from Planet of the Apes. Yeah. Like, they're actually way smarter, but they're just like, fuck that shit. Like, let's just keep doing this shit.
Like, credit score.
Just keep making the sound, so they think you're stupid. Just keep making the sounds, dude. Just keep making the sounds.
Throw your poop.
They're on to us. Damn. Yeah, and the crazy thing with the monkeys is, like, because the apes eat the monkeys, which is wild. Like, the apes eat those little monkeys.
What?
Oh, yeah. They tear them apart. They chase them down. They tear them apart like they're not some version of them. Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah, they showed chases happening and, like, just... They showed wars between the chimps. Like, you get to see it all.
I love monkeys. Why would you say that?
Oh, my God. It's the most gruesome. It's the most intimate account, I think, that of chimpanzees that has, like, really been...
Chimpanzees do it? They're not that big. I thought gorillas.
What? Chimps aren't big? Oh, you need to watch Chimp Empire. There are chimps that are standing way over you.
Well, I'm really short.
Yeah,
so is you.
Man, you gotta watch Chimp Empire. Oh yeah, your idea of chimps. Yeah, they're not just like these cute little things. Like, they are savage, but they're also very smart and they're very social. It's fascinating.
I want a monkey so bad, but I'm like, I love them so much that I'm torn in between.
And by the way, when you say monkey,
pets.
You mean like these small little things that run around you. You're not talking about like monkey. A big chimp. Like, because those are two different things.
Like, I would like a little monkey to live with me and be my little pal and wear a backpack that has a banana in it.
Like Aladdin had. You want like an Abu from Aladdin.
I would love an Abu. Maybe even like bigger. Maybe like a little chimpanzee.
Okay, like Bubbles that Michael Jackson had.
Yeah. Like Bubbles. But it'd be cool to have an orangutan. But no. So like a normal one that won't...
You're really in your head right now thinking about like, oh, wow.
That would be pretty cool.
What would I dress him up like?
I know. Because all I can imagine is a little backpack with a banana in it. And I've always said that.
Is this Curious George? What's happening here?
Oh, so cute. I have a Curious George stuffed animal. I love monkeys. But like, it's a mix of they need to be out in nature, but also I want to hug them.
Oh, that's the thing. Is like humans. I want a monkey. Do you think the fucking monkey wants you? Like, but we're like, no, but I'm a human. I get to make the decision. You're mine now.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same thing as coming into Puerto Rico. You're mine now. Like, you're my monkey now.
See, this is why I don't have a monkey.
Weird, right? Like,
yeah, that's
how we just like to have things. Like, I want you. You're mine. Yeah.
I got like a cringe, like a new
shock,
couple,
right?
like you're mine.
Yeah, it's very, it's weird. We just
want stuff.
Yeah, you just want stuff. And like, why can't I have it? Why can't I have it? I have the money. I want it. Give it to me.
It sucks.
Yeah, right?
Capitalism.
And like money is like their tickets. Did you ever watch Wolf of Wall Street?
I did.
Fucking the police officer, they came to get him on his boat, on his yacht, and then they kind of got in like a little scuffle because he realized like he was like, are you trying to bribe me right now? And he was like, oh no, and then they kind of get in like that little scuffle. Exactly. So then he just starts throwing money at him. He was like, here, take these are fun coupons. That's what I call them. Fun coupons. And he's just throwing $100 bills at him. Like, that's what these things are. They're just like, some people see them as these pieces of paper just allow me to do whatever I want. Like, I can exchange them for whatever I feel like.
It's true what they say, that the law is for the poor. Because you can buy yourself out of anything.
Gee, yeah, I know. Like, if you let your mind run with that one for a second, it gets dark fast.
It does. Like, shit, if I had the money, I would be going 90 on the highway too.
Bro, when the idea of Jeffrey Epstein's island came out, my friend and I were talking about this latently on like one of the last episodes. Reason being because I found out kind of late. I guess I wasn't in the chat that day and didn't get this piece of information, but there was someone that I had known for quite some time. Was that person's brother, kind of, actually, or a person's brother that I knew, but that during 2020, quarantine hit people differently, man. I said this then, and I'm not like I was the first one or the only one, but that we were going to see the ramifications of quarantine for many, many, many years to come. But a lot of things happen. A lot of beautiful things happen for people. A lot of terrible things happen for people. A lot of entrepreneur, a lot of creativity, a lot of art, a lot of abuse in every way.
Like
domestic,
pre-COVID, post-COVID.
drug, alcohol, right?
For sure.
And so to know this person that was a prevalent figure in their church end up going to prison because they were speaking to over like 1,000 girls on this website that has now since been deleted. This website has been like taken down. It was called Omegle.
Oh shit, Omegle. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's no longer a thing from what I understand.
I did read an article the other day that they closed it down, but like I remember being in high school and middle school chatting with randoms with my friends, like on the internet.
Yeah, see, girls 7 to 17 were getting naked.
Well, I mean, I was with friends making fun of people, so I didn't really see that aspect of it. But when you're switching people, all of a sudden, like a penis would come out, or
and there were just recordings of like 1,000 girls, and they were being sold to people that were purchasing all this child pornography, and I was like, what a world! Like, how do you get into this world? And who are the people like purchasing this stuff, and how much money is involved in this entire ring? Like, not just child pornography, but sex trafficking at large. You know, like how much money, how many billions of dollars are like circulating in this world that just keeps it running. And it's like, well,
it's a different world, and I think
like it's a whole different world that you don't even. Just like you were telling me,
normal people will have these same exact thoughts, but they don't have money to invest in it. But then you see the rich people that actually have money and time on their hands, and then all of a sudden they're spending billions of dollars in human trafficking.
So from what I understand, or from what I've heard, is when people say money changes you, I think I've heard it better, which is just money helps you become more of who you already are. Like, you're just able to exhibit that more. Yeah, a lot of us are definitely shitty. I've been shitty. I've said things on this podcast that I feel like have been shit. I've looked back and I've thought of all the times where my like ego has asserted itself and I've just been wildly insensitive. Have you ever looked at a point in time? Because I just recently went through this and I just got out and I feel so light, so free. Have you ever gone through a time when you felt like you didn't recognize yourself? Like you're like, what? That was me? Like I don't even like that's not even
Absolutely.
see, I never had gone through a time like that, but I just recently got out of one and I was looking at the things that I was like the content I was intaking and they just like the spaces that I was in and how impressionable I am, right? Because sometimes your ego will tell you that you're stronger than your environment. In that these things around you are not impressing upon you in such a heavy way. Even though I would criticize other people for intaking certain information and not knowing that they're a product of that, while same thing is happening to me and I wasn't able to see it. But not being able to like remove your ego from just the observations of the world around you. So you're making ego-based decisions like me type of decisions. I had that issue. You say things that are out of character. You do things that are out of character. And then hopefully at some point you see the light. You like get out of the fog. And you're like, what the fuck was I doing? Like, how could I have acted that way? Like that was terrible. Like that's not who I aim to be.
It's a horrible feeling, but it's also great.
It is.
Yeah.
That's why I have this on here. On the back end of humiliation comes triumph.
Absolutely. Just the fact that you can take a step back and recognize it is just so amazing because that means you're growing as a person.
I know. It used to be tougher for me. I used to have one like those moments and reflect on myself, or maybe I would read something or someone would say something to me and I would reflect, introspect, and I'd be like, fuck. And I feel so bad I would like wallow in shame. And I'd be like, I can't believe I did that shit. And I would just feel so bad. I would like, there have been times I've just sat in my house for like 3 days, like in a fucking hoodie, just like watching TV or something like that. And like, oh my fuck, I can't believe I did that shit. Like, and I'm just sitting in it. And not sitting in it in a nice, like healthy processing way. Like there's no meditative state going on here. I'm just like wallowing in shame. It's gotten far better since then because now I look at it like, what would I want a friend, or like what sort of grace do I give a friend or any human? I would want them to realize something and then be like, okay, all right, I did that. Now it's time for me to move on, right? Like I wouldn't want anyone else to wallow in shame. I'm a human. So why would I want myself? Okay, I don't want this for myself either. I need to take my own advice that I would give to a good friend of mine or anyone, right? So then now it's more so the way that you've put it, which is the aha moment of fuck, I did that, is also the same exact moment of aha, but I don't have to be that anymore.
Exactly.
Right. So it's like literally that fuck moment is the triumph at the same time. Like it's one and the same thing.
Yeah. And I think I had a therapist that I loved her. Every time I would bring up something that I did kind of like that and I was wallowing in it and I kept on overthinking and repeating it and cringing and being like, I can't believe I do this. She was like, okay, well, let's make a list of the awesome things that you did at the same time.
Hey.
So that you can realize that, yeah, that happened, but you can get through it because you did all of these other things.
Was that hard at first, or were you just like, man, no, fuck all the awesome things, I did this bad thing? Or like, were you like, oh, all right, well, like, were you reluctant about trying to put the awesome things down? I was.
And I think it was the first time that I actually had like routine therapy. So I hadn't really associated therapy with having like homework and like little assignments like that would help. So it was a struggle at the beginning. Now with my new therapist now, as soon as they tell me something, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it.
I'm going to do it. You guys have been right so far. I'm going to do this.
Yeah. But it's hard. Like she made me put together a list too of like characteristics of what I wanted in my partner. And then she was like, what does your current partner have that's on the list? And I was like, well, shit, nothing. And then I broke up with him. It was like an aha moment. So So now I also revert back to the list.
I imagine that the list is like a girthy list. Like there must be like
there are like 30 things on the list.
30 things, and you said this human had none of them. That can't be right. They have to have like some degree of a couple of those things. But for the most part, just clearly not nearly enough to tip the scales in their favor. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so fucking funny.
So, because like I put things on the list because I think like that one characteristic is going to make you kind of like more open to other things. So like if you have a lot of self-awareness, kind of like you said, I can look back at this moment and be like, oh shit, I did this. How can I be better? He was aware he did wrong, but he didn't want to better himself. So he had like one part of that characteristic. Does that make sense?
Let's walk through this. So there's a human being, and they would say, they would admit to you verbally, "Hey, I was wrong."
Yeah, okay. Or like sometimes he would apologize, but then it comes with a justification.
See, that's not the same.
Exactly.
Yeah. See, that's not the same.
So that defeats the purpose. So you're aware. Yeah. You're aware you did this. Absolutely, you can look back and you can see, well, yeah, you definitely should have handled that in a different way, but are you going to?
The ego's a tricky thing. The ego's a tricky thing, like moving that to the side. I've been asking more and more people this because this has been one of the phrases that have interested me most about growth. What do you think it is to say one must get out of their own way?
I think we're our biggest obstacles. Like, you can get in your head so much that you're not even going to start something. Like, I've been telling you for a year that I'm going to start a podcast, right? And the only thing stopping me from starting a podcast is myself.
Yeah. No one's waking up in the morning like, how can I stop Ivana from?
It's like, I'm going to shoot you if you start a podcast.
How can I stop her from? I have to sabotage this plan of hers. Yeah, no.
Yeah, never. It's yourself.
Yeah, just as I told my friend the other day, like, hey man, no one's waking up in the morning thinking, how can they make your life better? Like no one's worried about that shit, man. Like if it's not you, then it's no one.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Tough break. Like,
yeah,
let's get after it.
Yeah. But no, it was eye-opening, and like to see the way that I made the list. But if you asked him to make the list, he wouldn't have the same thought process I had when I was listing things. Was also eye-opening. This is definitely not going to work out. We are just two different people.
Yeah. I went to a place called Tuscarora Mill. The locals call it Tuskies.
I was like, fancy.
Yeah. Beautiful place, but we went out for brunch on a Sunday, which was big for us because we had been working Sundays for like the past, I don't know how many years. I mean, for me, like 7.5 years, for her 4 or so. So we were able to go out for our first Sunday brunch. Beautiful spread. It was amazing. I can't say enough. If you're in the Leesburg area on Sundays, just try Tuscarora Mill. It's beautiful. Anywho, and the people there are always very, very nice. Always. All of them. I haven't walked in there and met like an unpleasant person yet, which is huge for me when I go out to experience dining. Yeah. Anything. You're right, anything. And we were talking about what we think it really takes. Like how do you intuit what a good partner is, or that you're in a good partnership, or that it's worth sticking around for when things are rough, because it's not always going to look good. And sometimes things look good, but they're bad because you're ignoring things. And sometimes things are bad, but they're good because you're actually, facing things head on, and you're working towards something together. And there's all this spectrum in between. And trust kept coming up, like trust that the other person is on board, like they're trying to do the right thing. And that there seems to be this, for me in my observation, seems to be this balance between a good match, because I don't think anyone can just work hard and make it work. I don't think that any human being can be with any other human being. That seems unsophisticated. But I also don't think that any two people that are a good match are just going to make it in the long haul. Mm-hmm. So I think there's a good balance between being a good match with your temperament and your goals and your values, and then also having this understanding that we're here to work. Like, we're here to make this thing work through time, And that's going to take vulnerability. It's going to take trust. It's going to take a lot of communication. And we're going to have to be on board.
Communication. That's like the main one.
Yeah. So,
Definitely.
so if you're with someone and they're just not willing to take accountability, they're not willing to hear you out, they don't think that they need to grow in anything, like these types of things are the reddest of flags. Like I don't, you can't make it that way.
Yeah, and I think I stayed with my ex way too long because I realized it pretty early on in the relationship that there was something that was off. And I think it kind of like really hit me and like the switch turned on that it wasn't going to work out. I did say like years after that because I thought that I could work on it and I thought that I could change him. But I remember I had a full-time job. He had the same full-time job. We both worked at the same company. But on top of that, I was also enrolled in college. I had my ulcerative colitis because I got diagnosed a couple months into our relationship, which being sick all the time is not fun.
Right. That's the autoimmune.
Yeah, it's like an autoimmune illness. So like not only is it like the main side effects, like I can't eat, I'm nauseous, I'm losing blood, diarrhea, like all of those things. On top of that, you have an overactive immune system that was just attacking itself and making me sick all the time. So I would have a cold like every other week.
That's such a crazy like malware.
Like it's
you attacking you.
It's ridiculous, and like it gives you chronic fatigue.
Yes,
so
I would imagine.
Exhausted. So I was working full time. I had 2 classes that I was trying to get back into college. And then at the same time, like I would come home and I would have to cook, clean, do the laundry, like keep everything. And all he had was the same job as I had, but he was too tired to do anything else after that. So I remember coming home one day and I was so overwhelmed. I'm crying. And I tell him, I was like, I need help. I need you to at least take on some of these chores, something, but I need help to like alleviate all of these things that I have. And his response to it was like if I was attacking him and calling him lazy. And I'm like, that's not what I said at all. I'm just asking for help. And the fact that he didn't try to just take a couple things off my lap and just be more understanding and be like, you know, you're right, I'm not doing enough, let's change that, you know, and we could talk through it. You know, he could have calmed me down, talked through it. We can go back and forth and just figure out a new system because like, this is our life. You know what I mean? It's me and him against the world. And if you can't get on board and help me to be able to go out in the world and fight and keep on going, then like, what's the point? Like, I can't be stressed out at work, stressed out at school, and then come home to another stressful environment.
Fuck no. Oh no.
There's a reason I had ulcers. I was so stressed. And then like him taking it as a personal attack on him when that's not what it meant at all. It just meant we're doing something wrong and we need to fix this. Was just like, I can't do this. Like if your first thought is I'm the victim when somebody tries to communicate with you, that's not it.
that's not it.
I know it.
Oh my goodness. Just you explaining that whole situation sounds so, it sounds like you're in like this fucking loop, like you're in this hell of a like purgatory. Like you're just like, I go here and I'm stressed out and I'm overworked and I'm sick, and then I go over here and it's the same thing, and then I go over here and this is supposed to be home where I can come back and recharge and feel loved and rest and relax and then, you know, get things off my chest and whatever. And then no, but it's not that. And I come here and it's the same shit again. And he's arguing with me and he's telling me that I'm calling him lazy and I don't appreciate him. And that's not what I was saying. And you're just in this fucking loop. Oh my God. And then you have to go
exactly how it
and
felt.
then you have to try to go to sleep, which I'm certain your sleep wasn't that great.
No.
And then you got,
and I was exhausted and sick when I still couldn't sleep because of the stress.
Oh, then you got to wake up and try to do it again. Oh, how long was this loop? How long were you doing this?
So I was in a relationship with him for 5 years.
Oh my God. Stop talking to me. Oh my God. This was happening roughly the whole time?
Yeah. There's a lot of like worse stuff that came to it that definitely, when I take a look back, or like when I'm listening to a podcast or like a true crime show, I'm like, oh, I was being mentally abused, which is wild to think, because when it's happening, again, your ego is like, that would never happen to me.
It's like, no,
that's not happening.
That's something that you listen to on podcasts. It's not happening to me.
Exactly. Yeah. And then you hear all the red flags, and like you look back and you're like, well, shit. It was kind of like one of those moments. And like, I'm the type of person that once I find somebody, that's who I'm sticking with. I'm very loyal. Like, I want a partnership. I want somebody that, like, my grandparents were about to hit their 71st anniversary this year. Like, I want somebody that's going to be through thick and thin with me all the time.
71st anniversary?
Yeah.
How old are they?
Well, my grandpa passed away, but my grandma is 83.
They were children when they got together. Was
it 71 or 61?
Yeah, I was about to say, like, they were children.
No, it wasn't. They were. I know my grandma was pretty young, but she was working, and then she met my grandpa when my grandpa went from Puerto Rico to Spain for medical school, and my grandma is from the Canary Islands, and she was working in Barcelona at the time, and then they met and they got married over there.
Wow, that is such a long time. Anyone that thinks that they got something like solid, me included, at fucking like 3 or 4 years of dating someone, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, here. Hoy hace 61 años, 61 years.
Well, okay, 61. Wow.
Yeah, because my grandma posted on Wednesday. She was like, today, 61 years ago, I was the happiest woman in the world because we were getting married before God.
How well could you, I mean, not that everyone married that long does, because I'm certain there's just some people that just stick through it and their shit sucks the whole time. Actually, I've known something like that. But how well could you know someone in 61 years? Like, of just living with them, creating a life with them. Like, you must understand everything about everything, every facial expression, every muscle twitch, everything, like
absolutely everything. I think it was just amazing. And like, my grandparents were the ones that raised me. So I'm going from seeing like my parents divorce to then something solid like that from a very young age. It was clear to me that's what I wanted. And I wanted to be with somebody that I could build off of. And my grandma and my grandpa are two different people, like extremely different. Like, my grandma was the disciplinarian. We're all scared of her. It's what abuela says. And my grandpa was like, ask your grandma.
Yeah. It seems to happen.
Yeah, he was just the chillest, nicest, most amazing person I've ever met. And he made my grandma a better person. And just seeing that effect, and like, when he'd be like, calm down, she would like take a breath. And they went through so much together, including, losing their first child to cancer, which is one of the reasons why I got into the childhood cancer advocacy. That was their first kid, and she passed away, I think when she was 2, from leukemia. And they stuck through it together, had 5 more beautiful daughters, had a whole life together, and were able to overcome that. There's a lot of couples can't.
That's tough.
And like, be supportive of each other. And I just think that's so amazing.
Some people hold that, like, somebody will hold a resentment. You know what I mean? And be like, that was your fault. Oh my God. Could you imagine thinking that? Like you already had like someone that died that was close to clearly both of you. But then there's some mixed feelings of like that was your fault. Like, you could have done better, or you misstepped here, or you didn't see this, or you overlooked this thing, or you weren't around enough, or whatever the case is.
Anger comes with grief, and then you need to find a place to put that anger. And what easier place than the person next to you? It really depends on how you process your grief, I think, at that point, because I'm the type of person where I'm not going to look for blame in it. Like, it happened. So from here, where are we going? So I'm not going to what if. look back, this was your fault because you could have done this, you could have done that. It's more like, well, shit, it happened.
Yeah, I was
Let's
listening.
process this.
I did listen a while ago to this divorce lawyer named James Sexton, who seems like a really, really nice, cool guy. And yeah, very ironic or coincidental that's his name. But he was on the Lex Friedman podcast, and he was saying, it amazes me how people can go from loving each other to the degree that they once were. Because once you're a divorce lawyer, you have to go through all like text messages, videos, like photo galleries. You got to go through so much in a divorce, you know, over the course of sometimes years with people. And to see how much someone can then hate that person, just absolutely despise them, and like do the best they can to make sure that they don't see the children anymore. Like, you're never going to see your children, or just try to make it as difficult as possible.
Well, I think partly is because they make it so about themselves. They take it kind of like a personal attack. They're kind of like my ex, when I was like, I need to focus on my health. I need to take a step back from this, and I need to, you know, like do this, whatever's better for me. It was a personal attack to him because he couldn't help me throughout this process. And that's how a lot of people take it. They're like, oh, you're going to do this to me? Well, I can do it better.
Oh, man. Oh, that's just,
Like my parents, I think they were in the same room for the first time in over 20 years when I was in the hospital. It was awkward.
Wait, they what?
Yeah, so they both live in Virginia now, but it had been 20 some years. Like they had been avoiding each other for 20 some years. Like they didn't talk or anything, and they were finally in the same room together when I got hospitalized.
Wow.
Awkward. That's also when I was like, oh shit, I might die.
Yeah, that is in. Wow. Yeah, like what has to be done? That's what's interesting about time. It's like it just changes all. Like time just has this effect on everything. And you're gonna, you know, you think, oh, I'm never gonna see this person ever again. Like but you don't know what may bring you together. It may be life, it may be death, but like something, you know, just some weird cosmic bringing together, whatever. But that is seeing dynamics in relationships change through time is very interesting. People you thought you would never be friends with, you end up great friends with sometimes. Like that's happened to me before. I never thought you and I worked at Ivana however many years ago that was. That was 9 years ago. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And then because for whatever reason we followed each other on like Snap and TikTok or something, there was a
connect.
Now you're here recording a podcast. Like it's weird that the story just continues.
Yeah.
You know, she just keeps going, and you never know where it's going to go and who you thought. I used to have friends, and one in particular that if you had asked me back then, I was like, we're going to be friends until we die. Like there'll be nothing that'll ever take us apart. I was wrong. That friendship ended years ago, but you know, definitely no malice. Definitely not from my side. I know that, and I don't think from their side either.
Sometimes you just grow apart.
Sometimes you just grow apart, and you just couldn't see it coming. You have no idea like where you're headed, like what that is.
And it's wild because I don't think you even worked at Ivana for that long.
No, I did not.
I was there for like a year and a half, I think maybe 2 years. And out of all the people that I worked with, you're the only one that I've had a little bit more contact with. Like I'm here doing the podcast.
Yeah.
Like I'll still connect with like Ariel or Alan or something like that, and we'll talk. But
I don't remember either of these people.
But like we don't go out anymore. We don't meet up. Nothing. Crazy, but we did have a connection when we first met at Ivana. We could definitely have a conversation together. Yeah. So that kind of like stuck.
Every job I've had, I have walked away with at least one human being from there. For whatever reason, we connected on some level. And sometimes it took a long time for that connection to happen. because maybe just the time we were not ready to be friends. Like we were not.
I get that.
Yeah, like it didn't make sense for us to be friends. But then that's also interesting is like when you kind of see something in someone, but you guys aren't ready to be. You're not ready to connect right then and there.
Yeah, like you're gonna be part of my life when I don't know.
Yeah, it's like
but it's gonna happen.
That's a fascinating, I guess, recognition in another person. Oh man, getting older has been fun for me. I'm enjoying it. How I see you don't necessarily share that sentiment. You're like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I think I've been aging pretty well. I think I keep on growing and like figuring out more about myself, which has been really cool. And I feel like right now I'm at the point in my life where I'm the most Ivana I've ever been.
I think maybe that's what I'm talking about in particular is just like that you keep learning more and you keep developing and maturing emotionally, and and you just think it's so crazy that I was that person. And just knowing that if you continue to aim high, you're going to continue to feel that way later on and be like, wow, I can't believe I was that person too.
Yeah, like I'm happy with who I am right now. It's been like a weird year, which is also why I'm kind of like lukewarm about it. So I'm turning 30 in 2 weeks. And no, actually in a week. It's weird because I love the person that I am now. I have been able to work on myself, become the best version of myself, be a kind person, which is always my main goal. But at the same time, I'm starting 30 with no colon. And
starting 30 with no colon.
2 near-death experiences in 1 year. So am I going into the best era of myself? My colon is like, girl, you left me behind.
Life is complicated.
That's weird.
It's complex.
Yeah. I also think it's a part of development, though. I think that's why I've been so okay with all of these things, and like been able to keep like a lighthearted, humorous approach to everything since it all started happening in June, is because after 8 years of having ulcerative colitis, they removed my colon, which removed the ulcers. So for the first time ever, I can eat.
Oh, right. Remove the ulcers, so now you can only not eat what you said, peas and corn, everything else that you couldn't eat before, now you can.
Yeah, so the ulcers, since they were open wounds, everything that I ate was going directly through my bloodstream. So I'm allergic to all the types of pollen. And pollen has a certain molecular composition that is similar to the ones that some fruit and vegetables have because it's coming from like those plants. So when I ate it, it would go directly through my bloodstream and the body would confuse that molecular composition and associate it with the pollen one. And that would create an allergy. So it would close up my throat. It would give me a rash. It would make me throw up. It was just all the side effects.
Wow, your body's just confused.
Yeah, so the interesting thing about
it's like
that,
we're not even intaking the thing. You just think we are.
Exactly, and it's when it's raw. So the interesting thing about that I just thought was like really cool was if I cooked it, it changes the molecular composition, and I didn't get an allergic reaction, which I thought was really cool.
This is so fascinating,
right? So I thought that was crazy. But once they removed the colon, it removed the ulcers. So no open wounds, no allergies. So I've been able to start eating everything that I was before. And then I do have 2 more surgeries left that's going to give me the J pouch. And once I get that, I should be able to be back to my normal self of pre-diagnosis, which I am very looking forward to. Like, I'm looking forward to being able to go to the gym, enjoying my life, not being sick all the time.
Yeah, I was about to say, is there anything, like, is there a top 3 things that you really want to get back out there and do with your new life?
Yeah. So first thing is I definitely want to start going to the gym and playing soccer again.
Oh, soccer.
Yeah. So big fan of soccer. Would love to start playing again. This one's going to sound a little bit crazy, but trapeze classes. Okay. I used to take trapeze classes in Puerto Rico, and it was so much fun. I felt like I was in a circus. So I want to start doing that again. And I found like some aerial classes in Richmond that I want to do, like aerial dancing.
Okay, so aerial, so that's like is that like silks? Is what, like you're hanging from silks and stuff like that? Yeah,
like the hula hoop and stuff from the ceiling.
Okay, I've seen that.
So that,
I guess the trapeze stuff I don't know so much about.
Trapeze is, like in the circus when they have the
rings.
Well, they have like a bar and they'll like swing and then flip.
Oh, you were doing that shit?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. I had my little sister was a gymnast, so like I was able to see some bar work. You know what I mean, and some vault and floor. Like I was able to see some of the stuff, but just not in this way.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. Like I used to do gymnastics.
Okay, so
and then I was a cheerleader for a long time too. So it kind of reminded me of that.
Okay.
And I know like after my first class, there was like, "Did you do gymnastics?" I was like, "Yeah."
Oh, okay. Yeah. You had a certain aptitude for it. Yeah.
So, and it's an amazing ab workout.
Okay, so soccer.
It mixes adrenaline.
What'd you call it again? Not just trapeze. What'd you call it?
The aerial dancing?
Well, no, aerial dancing, soccer.
Trapeze.
Trapeze. That's what it's called.
Okay, yeah. And the other thing that I'm really looking forward to is being able to travel. Like, I was traveling with the UC, but it comes with certain anxiety that I'm sure, like, people with Crohn's and ulcerative can relate to. It's just, you go somewhere and you're like, where's the bathroom? I need to know where it is.
Yeah, it's in the back of your mind at all points in time. Like I need an escape route. Like
are terrifying. Yeah, because like you can get trapped in there. And I there's like a certain percent of people with ulcerative colitis that have nausea. Like it's not everybody. Usually they just have the urgency to go to the bathroom. But I had the nausea one and it was ridiculous. Like I had a puke cup when I was in a road trip. Like it would be constant and you have to wait sometimes like 100 and some miles before the next rest stop. And it can be like taxing on your mental health.
Miles waiting. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like to have the mental fortitude to like lock in and say, okay, we got that sign just said we have 98 miles to the next rest stop. Okay.
And you feel like such a burden too, because
of course
there's like little things that people do that maybe they don't realize it, but like you hear it and you're like, this is my fault. Like every time we had to stop at a rest stop, my aunt was like, you're adding more to the ETA. You're adding more to the. I was like, I'm sorry, but like, we need to stop. Like, I feel bad. I'm like pulling everybody behind. Like, I know. Actually, this year before I got sick, I was starting to get very nauseous. That at the beginning of June, I remember we had my cousin's graduation party. So the day before, I was helping my aunt put everything together, the decorations, because it was a big party. And they sent my cousin to Costco to buy pizza. And like I, at that point, was allergic to cheese, like gluten, wheat, so I can't have pizza. But one thing, weirdly enough, that I had eaten from Costco that didn't make me sick was their hot dogs. So I asked my aunt, I was like, hey, I know you guys are going to get pizza, but can you pick up a hot dog? And she was like, ugh. You're so sick. We're going to New York next week. Are you going to be sick then too? And I'm like, it's been 8 years, so I'm going to lean towards yes, I am going to be sick. You know what I mean?
No. And how do you feel about the idea of traveling alone?
I love it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm so excited because now I can actually travel alone and I'm not afraid that I'm going to die and nobody's going to be there.
I mean, you've been in some shaky situations before, so I mean, I assume that you probably have emerged. Like, I can probably do quite a bit by myself.
I'm indestructible.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm invincible, bitches.
Damn, man.
That's the two themes of my birthday this year.
That's not fair for you. Damn, man, people. That's rough. Sometimes you just can't see beyond yourself. It's the ego thing. Like you can't see beyond yourself. Like for them to sort of berate you that way, You know, be like, oh, like you're fucking sick all the time. Like, well, yeah, I mean, yeah, like,
like it's weird
but you
because
know me,
I'm always thinking about them. Like, oh my God, I'm inconveniencing them, and it's the only thing on my mind. And I want to do everything. Like, people would bring stuff to potlucks, and I would still try it, even though I was allergic, because they brought it and they put in the effort, and I didn't have like the guts to be like, I'm allergic.
Man, relationships are hard, huh? Because like if you love someone, you want to be around them, but then they have this thing that they can't control, but and that's going to hinder, put a damper on. It's going to create some inconveniences for you.
It's something that you have to take a step back and really think about what you're saying and doing.
Yeah,
and it can go so many different ways. So like with my ex, I felt unsupported. I felt that I was in this alone, which is it's not how you should feel in a relationship. That was the words that I was
I was like, you're gonna get there.
I was like,
she's gonna get there.
Okay. I should have felt a little bit more support from him, like at least, I don't know, I'm nauseous, make me some tea, you know?
It's not unreasonable.
Exactly. Instead, you know, I would faint and he would pretend to be asleep so he didn't have to take me to the emergency room. Yeah. So it can go that way.
No, stop. We're not moving from this point just yet. Hold on, just give me a second to breathe. Just give me a second to breathe and just think about where you shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up.
It gets worse.
Okay, how do you know? You said you would faint.
Yeah, from dehydration.
How do you know that he pretended to be asleep?
Because after I fainted, I like came to, and I was very lightheaded, and I was like, I'm not going to say his name. I was like, hey, you know, but like calling his name, and he was pretending to be asleep. And as soon as I was like, I just need help getting up, then he got up and helped me up. He was clearly pretending to be asleep, like clearly. And then it gets worse. He helps me up. And he half helps me up because at this point I had dragged myself to the bed and had used it to lift myself like halfway because I was so dehydrated and like so sick at this point where my whole body was kind of like shutting down.
Debilitated, yeah.
It was terrible. I hadn't eaten at that point in like a week. Like it was bad.
That's a long fast.
Yeah, and like so keep in mind during this entire thing too that if he did have to take me to the hospital, we lived right across the street from it. Literally right across the street. So when I'm not saying 2 minutes down the road, right across the street.
So when you're not eating, because I brought up the word fast, so I do want to remark on this because I fasted. I've known people to fast and do it in a healthier way, right, with like more thought towards it. But when you're not eating for a week, it's not like that banana bag you were talking about where you're still getting all this nutrients by taking vitamins and drinking mineral waters and all this. Like what are you ingesting in that week? Like how are you you getting any nutrition?
So no,
you're clearly not drinking water, which is why you're dehydrated.
That I think the main issue with the UC and Crohn's or what gets you or what sends you to the emergency room is the dehydration. Because you can survive a little bit more without food than you can without water.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But there I was at a point where I was even trying to drink Ensure protein shakes, but I would just throw it back up. So like it wasn't even getting to the point where I was having bloody diarrhea because it wasn't like I was just throwing it all up. So I was so lightheaded. I remember I tried to take a shower to like wake myself up after the faint or whatever. And he just stayed in the bedroom and my dog was in the shower. Normally she like sleeps while I'm showering, but she was like alert watching me, kind of like making sure I didn't fall kind of thing.
Dogs know.
Yeah, they absolutely know. And then, so I get out of the shower and I'm like, I think I might need to go to the emergency room to get some fluids. And he starts bitching. He starts, I don't feel well. I have a headache. I'm coughing like if he had a cold. And I was like, well, okay. well, then, like, give me a couple minutes. Let me go to Sheets. Let me get you some medicine. I'll get you all situated, make you some soup, and then I'll go to the emergency room. So that's what happened.
Oh, no. No.
Yeah.
No.
I remember too, that was the night that they gave me Percocet for the first time, and I had an allergic reaction too. So they literally told me, they're like, we can't let you leave here if you don't have like a driver. Because first, like, we gave you pain medications. You're not having a great reaction to it. You need some help. You cannot drive right now. So it's like 3 a.m. and I'm calling him until he finally wakes up and comes to get me. And the entire time it was just me apologizing to him.
Did he ever express to you that he didn't believe that you were in as much pain, or that you were going through what you said you were going through? Did he ever express that like you're overdoing it, like you're over the, like it can't be that bad, or like did he ever express anything like that?
Well, he kind of, like, I remember one of my friends, Brandy, she asked him, she was like, Ivana's sick, why don't you take care of her? Brandy is straightforward, she will tell you anything. And then he was like, Ivana's always sick.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking is that he's becoming numb, callous, and he's just like, oh, it's the thing, like she's going through, that's weird that happens.
But like 5 years into it, you should at least learn what I'm allergic to. Like, I know it's a lot, I do, and I know being with somebody that has a health condition it's hard.
Right.
Not just for them, but for you as a person that's supporting them. Like, I feel like I take every diagnosis or anything that happens to me in stride, but then I see my mom and my dad like breaking down and crying. Because you have to watch somebody go through that and not be able to help them. Or like be able to help them, but just to a certain extent. Like, there's a point in time where it's just out of your hands. So like my parents would just have to watch me in the hospital bed throwing up. And I know that's hard. I know it takes a toll on you. But if you sign up for it, at least put in some effort.
That's the question. I think some human issues when it comes to morality, which is why psychology is always interesting. Morality, ethics, like these sort of courses, and philosophers, like moral philosophers, having these discussions throughout all of civilization, throughout all of humanity and humankind, have always been interesting, trying to figure out like what are the right things, because it's always a toss-up. Like, you never quite know. When do you know, like, when should I leave? Like, when can I be okay feeling like, you know what, I love you and I thought that I could do this, but this is, maybe this isn't what I want for my life, and I feel terrible even leaving, but like the more I stay here, I get more resentful towards you because I feel like this thing is ruining my life. And like that must be rough for any person to go through when you have a sick partner. Oh my goodness.
It's also,
shit.
I thought about it a lot, and I think part of the reason why I stayed so long too was because of that. Because in my mind, he was putting up with me, but in reality, there wasn't a lot to be like put up with. Yes, I was sick, but I'm a very independent person. And him not helping me just made me even more independent. It was like we were in a relationship and I was his partner, making sure that he was being able to do everything and supporting him in everything, but I wasn't getting the same from him.
You going to the store and getting him those things before driving yourself to the emergency room is easily one of the top 3 wildest things you said to me since we started hanging out today. You said a lot of wild shit. Like, that's very wild.
So like, and honestly, I thought too, I was like, who else is going to put up with this? Who else is going to put up with me throwing up all the time? It was like a guilt factor. But then I realized, like with my therapist and stuff, that I got diagnosed in the middle of this relationship for a reason. You know, like ulcerative colitis is directly connected with like stress. And I was stressed all the time. And yes, I do get easily stressed out, but his anxiety, it was like mine was feeding off of it. It was when I'm in a situation and it doesn't go my way, I'm like, well, okay, let's take a step back and how can we change this? What can we do? And with him, it was he's screaming and yelling. So it was
it's not good.
Like constant panic that I just couldn't handle it. It was too stressful. So when I realized that, like 5 years in, I was like, okay, well, I need to get out. I paid off all of our debt together and I got an apartment sight unseen. And that weekend I was like, I'm so sorry, but I'm moving out. And
so he didn't see this coming. Another one of those stories.
He didn't, but honestly, everybody else did. For years, people were asking me why I hadn't broken up with him. Like it get to a point where I was so sick that I couldn't maintain my house, like sweep, mop, dust, all these things. And he wasn't doing it either. And it would get so bad that my mom would have to drive up to Fredericksburg just to clean my apartment because he wouldn't do it.
How long is it? Hey, yo, that's crazy. If I'm dating somebody and their mom starts coming over the house and cleaning shit up, you gotta reevaluate.
He wouldn't even say thank you.
Nah. Who's this guy? How long has it been now since that relationship?
2 years.
Have you spoken to him since?
Okay, so when I broke up with him, it was a really nice breakup, or I tried to do it in a really nice way. Like I took care of our debt together and he broke down crying and I was like, look, we can either do this and have a miserable weekend, or we can take a deep breath, be thankful, do all the things we love to do together, spend this time we are together, and then move on like a good term. So we decided to do that. I remember we did like a Harry Potter marathon. I baked a Harry Potter themed cake. Like we just relaxed all weekend. And yeah, it still sucked and there was a lot of crying, but it was kind of like mourning, like not in an angry way, but in a nice way.
Just saying goodbye.
Yeah. And I told him and I was like, look, I am going through much health wise. My biggest fear was losing my colon. And I could feel that I was headed in that direction and I needed to focus on myself, but I didn't have the energy to focus on myself and a relationship at the same time. And I kind of explained it to him. And I let him know, I'm like, you could still work on yourself and we could figure this out, but I need you to go to therapy and start like dealing with your issues instead of just ignoring it. I need you to get some ambition in life. Like he was happy with just clocking in at work, clocking out,
that's
going
a wild thing to say. Hey man, I'm gonna need you to muster up some ambition. I'm gonna need you to want to do something.
My thing is, yeah, there's so much more to life than just working and coming home.
Hustle and die. Yes,
exactly.
Yes.
I can't do that. I'm not that person. I love enjoying the world and everybody around me. I love meeting new people, and he wouldn't let me like go out or anything. Or if I would go out, he would show up.
Oh shit.
Yeah, like to the point where my coworkers stopped inviting me places because he would always show up. And he would show up in an Uber drunk as shit.
Yeah, I was about to ask you what was the manner in which he showed up too, because that definitely matters.
And let me tell you,
just showing up while unbeknownst to you,
you need to get drunk with your partner before you end up in a relationship, because you need to see if your drunk personalities vibe.
Oh, that's so funny.
Because let me tell you, the fight we had because he wanted to dance, and I'm like, bro, I'm posted up. Like, let me enjoy my gin and tonic and chill, bro.
He's yelling at you because he want to dance.
And he was like, "Are you embarrassed of me? Why won't you dance with me?"
Oh.
I mean, low key, yeah, I was embarrassed of him. He was drunk as shit. But like, the other thing is when I go out, I post up. I'm a post up bitch. Like, just keep the drinks flowing. I'm just going to sit here.
Hanging out, chilling, observing, people watching.
Yeah, I'll start talking to everybody. Yeah. Like, they'll come to me and like, we'll be like, oh, that's a cute top. And then the conversation would just keep going. And like, I'll flow with everybody. Like, my Instagram is filled with people that I meet while I'm out and stuff like that. And I just love meeting new people. And I think everybody has their own world, and it's like meeting different worlds.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Yes.
And it's so much fun. And I couldn't do that with him because he was just focused on himself all the time from start to finish.
Damn, he seemed very, very sad. That like every time you like divulge some more information, like through his actions and words.
That's why I was like, he needs to go to therapy.
Lack of action in certain areas, like it seemed very, like broken.
He wasn't happy.
Very broken.
And I told him that the reality is we are not happy together, and we need to acknowledge that and do something about it. We can't just keep on in this same cycle and both be miserable because it's not working. And honestly, since we had a dog together, I told him, I was like, you can keep her for now because it seems like you need her a little bit more than I do. Cause yeah, the breakup was hard on me. I was crying. Like I was in Richmond for the first time in my life in an apartment I had never seen, sleeping on a mattress on the floor, starting all over again because I left everything there for him, even though I had furnished that entire apartment and everything. And he kept everything. And I literally just loaded what I could in my car. And that's what I took because in my mind, I had broken this. I had ruined it. So the least I could do was leave him with some foundation. So I told him, I was like, you can stay with the dog because you kind of need her a little bit more. But, you know, she's my dog too. So we're going to try to split custody. And he started taking her over to me on the weekends so she could spend it with me. So we are still in communication. He started going to therapy. He bought a house. And then all of a sudden, he stopped taking his medication again. Once we started like kind of falling back into like a relationship thing. Like he started spending the weekends with the dog. He stopped going to therapy. He stopped taking his medication. The house that he bought, he said that he bought it for me so that we could have it together, but it was in the middle of nowhere. And like I told you before, I'm a city person. So before his house was ready, he actually stayed with me for 2 months, and he just kept on yelling about how much he hated Richmond. And I was like, this is where I want to be though.
Okay, so you were entertaining the idea of like, okay, maybe we can make it work. Because I see some things that you're doing.
Yeah, he was putting in an effort, which is all I asked for, an effort. And
the medication, if you don't mind me asking, that he stopped taking was depression?
Yeah, and anxiety.
Mm.
And then I was still getting sick, and I still wasn't getting the support I needed from him. And I remember I would be sick in bed, and all he could talk about was what he was going to do with his new house when he moved in, and like this and that. And which is great. I was so proud of him, so happy. I was helping him like design everything. I remember I had started helping him paint and move in. It was a very old house too, so it was filled with like mold and stuff, which again, you know, I'm very sensitive to. So I would always be sick when I was there, so I stopped going. And I was like, I'm sorry, but the reality is you didn't buy this house for me. You bought it for yourself. So you need to stop saying that you bought it for me. Just like own it. This is good for you. You know, just acknowledge that it was for yourself. But what really kind of like hit me was I had a really bad weekend where I ended up in the hospital. And so I am on Prozac too. And I take it for my anxiety. It's worked amazing, but it was really hard to get in contact with my doctor. So when I ran out, I couldn't get a refill on time. And my stomach again is very light. So I was going through kind of like a withdrawal of Prozac, and I was like throwing up like crazy. So my mom comes down to Richmond and was there. I said his name, sorry.
We'll bleep it. I'll bleep that.
Okay. So he was there spending the night with me and the dog and everything. And my mom was like, okay, well, I'm going to take her to the CVS clinic so that, you know, we can get her the medication, get her back stable and hydrated. And the CVS Minute Clinic said to go to the emergency room because that's the quickest way that they can get me my medication. So we go there, and since I'm throwing up, they think I'm on drugs. So they put me in the psych ward. on hold for like 72 hours because I was throwing up and there was blood. And I was like, oh my God, like I swear I'm not on drugs. I have ulcerative colitis. Get me a real doctor. My mom was panicking in the parking lot because they wouldn't let her see me or communicate with me. They're like, she's on hold. She had been yelling every time she called. So every time she would call again and the nurse was like, oh, you're Ivana's mom, she would hang up on her. So it was like 3 a.m. Like I had no help. And my ex, he had done was he called me. He was like, hey, I need you to let me in the building. I have to work tomorrow, so I'm just going to go home. So I went home and he left me there. I had snuck in my phone in my yoga pants because I told him I was uncomfortable getting dressed and getting into the gown. And I'm like surrounded by somebody that's peeing themselves, another person yelling in their sleep. And I'm just sitting there like, I just need a real doctor. Like this is like, it's great mental health and everything, but I don't belong here right now. I needed a real doctor. It's horrible. Like what I'm saying is, when people need it, it's amazing, but I didn't need it at that point. So it was a very weird feeling, and they let me out finally when the psych saw me. He's like, why are you here? We need to get you some normal medical care. And I was like, yeah, that's what I've been trying to say, and everybody says I'm crazy. Thank you. So they finally let me out like at 4 a.m. And I remember it was like a surreal feeling. Like you go through that, and I was just trying to like process it. Yeah. You know, like you're in this room, nobody's believing what you're saying, you're throwing up, they keep on trying to give you medications that numb you or make you go to sleep. You can hear in the background somebody screaming, yelling, the person that peed themselves right next to me. Like it was a moment in my life where I had to take a moment and really process what was going on. And he called me the next day and was like, oh, you're out? When do you think you're going to finish painting in my house? I remember I'm not a yeller. I don't yell. Like I can argue with you, but it's going to be a normal conversation and we're going to go back and forth until we can resolve it. That's my style. But I yelled at him. at that point. And that's when I realized that no matter how much work he did on himself, entre comillas, like because he stopped doing it, he was never going to start thinking of me as his partner. It was always him and the person next to him. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I've known people to just have a woman as an accessory. Before and to speak of them as such. Yeah.
And like I'll go out of my way to like paint his house, but like he wouldn't do that for me, kind of thing. And I was okay with it at the point because I like doing things for myself. But when you're sick like that, you need to know that if something happens, you have the support behind you, somebody that can help you. And when he said that, I kind of just like lost it. It was like I like exited my body and I was watching myself from afar because
I was fucking out of body experience.
I was yelling. I was like, you inconsiderate son of a fucking bitch. I was like, I'm going through some shit. And then he was like, I told you not to go to the emergency room. I told you not to listen to your mom. You should have listened to me. And the worst part in all of this is when I met him, he was the director of a suicide hotline. So he could have helped me in that situation. Absolutely.
The plot thickens.
Yeah. And
that's a wild plot twist.
I remember then I called him and I was like, look, I know we're trying to work on things, but I can't do this anymore. I can't. And I was like, it's just not working out. And he was like, okay, well, can we do like we did last time? Let's at least say goodbye. So I was like, fine, yeah, you can come over. We'll have dinner, whatever. So keep in mind, I have all my allergies and this guy makes lasagna. And like, I didn't want to be rude. No. And he put like bacon grease in it and shit. So I'm not trying to be rude. So I eat it. So obviously, like 30 minutes later, I'm like puking my heart out, and he goes into the bathroom and holds my hair back. And I was like, do you realize that in the 5 years we've been together, this is the first time ever you've done it? First time ever you've tried to help me. You've held my hair back. You've gone to the bathroom while I'm getting sick to make sure I'm okay. In 5 years. I was like, this is why it's not going to work. He started having like a panic attack.
Him making lasagna is crazy. Like,
yeah, like
stop there for a second. Yeah, like that.
And then he started like hyperventilating and like ugly crying and red and was like asking me for another chance. And when I said no, he like completely shut down. Like he stopped crying, he stopped the tantrum, and he was like, okay. And he put the dog on the leash and he left. And then I would text him to see like if I could pick up the dog or whatever. And he started ignoring me, and then he blocked me. But again, we worked at the same company. So I remember I IM'd him one night, and I'm like, hey, I get out at 7. I'm going to pass by your house and I'm going to pick up the dog for the weekend. He didn't answer, but he saw it. And then I show up at the house after my shift. Everything pitch black, dog not even in the house, ignoring my calls, ignoring my texts. So like after that, he has not let me see my dog again. It's been 2 years. She's still my background.
Wow.
That's my baby.
I'm horrible with, is that Labrador?
She's a lab pit bull.
I got it.
Yes.
I'm terrible with breeds.
Her name is Matches.
That meant a lot. Matches. Mm-hmm. What a story.
Yeah, there's a lot of other wild things that happened with him.
I'm certain.
For sure, embarrassing and just like horrible. I think in our relationship, I didn't really drink a lot because he would drink to get drunk and not to have fun. Like, you know, like when you're vibing, you're just there like slowly sipping your drink. He would start the night with taking like a bunch of shots, so he was fucked up.
Yeah, he was trying to. He was
in bed by 8. Like
he was trying to leave this planet. He was trying to go somewhere else.
Yeah, it was horrible. Like his birthday, I think it was like 3 or 4 years in. We had invited his parents to come down to Fredericksburg for dinner. And his dad had gone to college in New Orleans. So I picked like this New Orleans bistro, which the bistro in Fredericksburg, shout out. They're amazing. They're so good. If you want some good like food, like red beans and rice, that is where you need to go. Alligator bites. Top notch. So I took him there so that he could have like a hurricane.
How do they make the?
They do.
They fry them?
So
fried
good.
Alligator bites. I hear it tastes kind of like roughly like chicken.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really good. They have like this sauce. It's amazing. I always do brunch there with my friends. They're great, and they have live jazz.
Oh,
it's a great place.
Very nice.
And locally owned. So we go there. Funny enough, like I know the owners now and like the regulars and the employees and stuff like that, but before I didn't. So I take his family there. At that point, he had been hanging out with his brother all day, but even his brother was like, I'm a little bit too high to see my parents right now. So he bounced. And then in the time it took me to like go into the bathroom and do my makeup, which I don't really wear makeup, as you can see. Like, so I was just putting on lipstick and a little bit of blush. He had chugged this bourbon that him and his brother, this expensive bourbon they bought to like celebrate his birthday at ABC. So he was drunk as fuck because he like chugged like a glass of it.
Would he drink alone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't drink with him because I would just get irritated.
Yeah.
So we get to this place and he's just acting weird. Just saying inappropriate things, and like his dad is like whispering to me like what's wrong with him. I'm like, oh, he's just a little bit tired. You know, like the food comes, he starts like grabbing his mom's food with his hands and stuff like that, and I'm just like embarrassed. And throughout this entire time he was going to and from the bathroom, and then in one he comes out of the bathroom and his pants are down.
Oh yeah, like by his ankles.
Like it was like by his knees. Like he forgot to button and zip. And I was mortified. Oh my God. I was like, I'm taking this food to go because I'm still going to eat it because it was that good, guys. And I was like, we're going to go home now. And I, like, even his parents were like, you're embarrassing. Like, you're embarrassing, Ivana. Stop. You know, like, relax. I remember we got home, and this whole thing maybe took like an hour and a half. So in an hour and a half, he was so drunk that when we got home, he was puking. Like, it was that bad.
Yeah, the alcohol thing is interesting. I just got done reading a book about it, and just like the pivotal point the pivotal role it's had in civilization since humans ever existed, or since we came across it. But just intoxicants in general. But that it seems like in places where they adopt a culture where you drink with your meals, you drink alongside other people, so people can kind of see. We can monitor each other. Like you have peered monitoring going on, and also distillation is very new in humanity. So wine and beer have been along for a very, very long time, and they're usually pretty watered down compared to what it is now.
Fun fact, I think it was in France or Italy or something, like back in the day, you could get it in the cafeteria at school. Like, so that it was something that from a very, very young age you were accustomed to.
Yeah, it's just people do things very differently, but when you start doing, that's why I asked if he drinks alone. Like when you start drinking alone and no one's there to see what it is you're doing, nobody can monitor things, you're numbing yourself, and then you're also someone that indulges heavily in liquor. Like that's when things get, because then you get fucked up so fast. So fast.
Yeah, like, and I'm the type of person. I'm Puerto Rican. My tolerance is high. Like, just like right off the bat.
It's in the blood. That's hilarious.
But I'm also, again, like, I'm a post-up. Like, I love chilling. It will take me hours to get drunk because I am literally just relaxing, slowly sipping my drink and just enjoying it and the people around me. And I have a rule that if I'm sad, I don't drink. I only drink when I am having fun, out with friends. But he would just do it all the time to the point where he was numb. Like, he couldn't just have a glass of wine with dinner. It had to be a bottle, 2 bottles, you know?
Yeah. You know, when people ask me about reading books, it's this funny thing because people think that, because it can be both. These tools of playing video games, reading books, drinking alcohol, whatever it is, that there is a form of escapism in it. And also at the same time, there's this form of integration, right? So you can be having a great time with your family or friends and sipping and enjoying each other's company and having great conversations, and you all are integrating in a way that is sometimes through social anxiety, it can be very difficult. So it acts as a social lubricant that allows you to integrate. Same thing with video games. Like, you could use it to escape, or you could also like really be enjoying it and be learning from it with like, just the different thought processes that your mind has to go through to achieve things in some video games. Like, you have to read a lot of things. You have to.
You don't skip tutorials?
Nah, I'm reading stuff. Even just like walking by, picking up letters and like reading diaries of people. Like,
you're the person
story.
That takes all the side quests.
I'll read. Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure. I'm taking all the side quests. In reading books, some people love when they talk to me about reading books. They're like, oh, I just love to escape in another world and all that. And then there are
That's
other people
what I use books.
Right, exactly. And then some people are like, no, I think that it helps. Like, I like to integrate myself in the world that I'm in the book. And like, I pull things out of the book and I find things in the book. And it's more of an integration than it is like an escape. You know what I mean? So it's
like,
it's a
my
framing
sister is
thing.
that way, and I'm the escape way.
Right.
So like, she'll recommend books, and I'm like, if it betters me, I am not reading it. But in the best way.
Right. So that's kind of this thing. So it is interesting. I see what you're saying as far as getting drunk with your significant other and just like understanding the vibe. Like, why are you doing this versus why am I doing this?
Yeah,
like
you need to be able to be compatible. Like, I'm the happiest drunk ever. Yeah. Like, I'm always just giggling, having fun, meeting new people. Yeah. I'm not like crazy on the dance floor, let's do shots kind of thing, but I'm more like that chill, you can always talk to person. And he was just the fucked up one that gets kicked out of the club.
Yeah, there's this.
You ever want to be with the one that gets kicked out of the club?
We all know the feeling of being out in an establishment that has alcohol and somebody walking in that bitch or walking around there, and you're like, oh God.
Yeah.
Like you don't know if they're about to start a fight. Like they're just volatile. Like you just don't
Everybody
know.
is like walking on eggshells.
Yeah, like you don't know if they're gonna start a fight. If they're about to shoot their shot with someone, like try to proposition someone that they find attractive, you're like, oh my god, this could go so bad.
So bad.
Like if this person doesn't want anything to do with them, which they most likely won't because they're walking around like a drunk zombie. Like if they want nothing to do with them, this could go left so fast. They might break some shit. They might start yelling at the person. Well, fuck you too, then, bitch. But like we don't know. So everyone is on edge, like looking at this person, like, okay, like let's see where this is gonna go. Do we need to go jump on this guy right now? Like everyone is like trying to find an exit strategy, or do we fight? It's like when you see those
you're
people
attached to that person, so you have no exit strategy.
Yeah, see,
because you have to make sure they make it home.
See, when you're the person that's with that person, that's yeah, I've been that person.
And you're just in the back, like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah. I got some memories. I got some memories now coming back. Yeah, friend of mine for sure. Yep. It was tough. This thing would, like, you would see his eyes glaze over. And, like, as soon as that happened.
Have you seen the Murdoch murders on Netflix?
No. I know you're heavy into
true crime
and conspiracies.
Yes, absolutely. But I just it reminded me of when they started talking about the son that when he was drinking, he would get like a glazed look in his eyes, and it was like he was a completely different person.
Have you I mean, you must have seen that. Like you're looking at someone and it's the eeriest thing because whatever was back there is like, it's not there anymore. Like that
he would stand in a different position.
Oh, see?
So I could always tell. And like the way that he talked would change. He would get very irritating. Very irritating. And he would always, so I would know he was drunk when he started steering every conversation towards himself. Like I think we were talking about like our childhood, and I was like, yeah, like my parents got divorced, so like I didn't really, like my dad wasn't a big part of my life growing up. And then all of a sudden he was just like, yeah, my childhood sucked. My dad was a lawyer and he worked a lot. My grandpa raped me.
Oh yeah.
I was like,
oh yeah. Yeah, I was about to say this whole time I'm like, it hasn't come up yet, but the things you're talking about this person exhibited, there was some dark shit that took place. Like it just was. Like these aren't normal toxic things.
I think too it depends on like your parents, cuz so his dad, sweetest guy in the world. His mom was more like him, and I slowly started seeing it. It was like I first gave him a chance because I think it was like on our third or fourth date or something. I went to drop him off, and his parents invited me in, and we were like pumpkin carving, and he just treated her in such an amazing way. Like it was always like trying to make her happy. He's like, what do you want, babe? And like it was just this relationship that like you could feel the love, and I was like, this is what I want, this is what I'm looking for. But like the more you kind of got to know him, it was her bossing him around. So in the relationship, it was like I was dead and he was his mom, and he was just like trying to boss me around and tell me everything that I needed to do to make him happy, but he didn't want to hear how he could make me happy.
Yeah.
It was like a weird disconnect.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he thought you were supposed to be in servitude. Like and some people really see things that way. Like that is their view on things. Like for real. Like you're supposed to be subordinate. You're supposed to be in service to me. And not the other way around.
I don't mind that. Like my love language is like acts of love, and and so like I'm always that person. Like I'll be in the supermarket and like I'll see something that he once mentioned he liked, and I'm gonna grab it just to make him smile. Like it's $1, $2, just to make him smile because I got him like a nice drink. But those thoughts never occurred to him, and it's the little things. It's the little things, that make you be like, oh, he's thinking about me. Like not just giving me flowers after a fight.
It's the beautiful two-sided coin of consciousness. Like consciousness is beautiful in that we can think about these things and have these very complex conversations and innovate to the level that humans have. And then there's this whole other side of like, now we're also trying to avoid ourselves. We're trying to get away from ourselves and what all of this consciousness brings to us, all these thoughts that just barrel down on us and keep us in these very dark places where we seethe with anger and uncertainty and fear and self-loathing and all these sorts of things. So it's very difficult for people to get away from their minds, like, and not even to get away from. That's because that is the escape, right? That is it's not that hard because I got this bottle right here, but it's to integrate. So again, not to escape, but it's very difficult for people to integrate with these thoughts, to integrate with their consciousness in a way that is healthy, that is tame. It's hard for people to tame their minds. That's really what it is. It's just very, very difficult to tame the human mind. And for some people more than others. That's the thing. Like, some people have an aptitude for it. Like, there's an aptitude for everything. Like, some people are just better basketball players than other people. Some people can just have better focuses in certain things. And then you can, just like the matching couples up but also knowing that you're going to have a certain work ethic to make that relationship work. You have talent and you have skill in something, and you can work really, really hard for something and not have the talent. And maybe sometimes those people will outwork talented people that don't do any work. And sometimes just kind of talented people that do a little bit of work can outweigh the people that work really hard in something. And it's just very, very weird. When my brother went to school, when we were in school, it was very, very easy for him to just pick up information. I didn't see him at home studying and shit. He just went to school and then he came home with A's and B's. And I'm like, how are you doing this? Like,
the same way.
How the fuck is this so easy for you? I don't understand. I could not do that shit.
And to me, I don't understand how you couldn't. It's like both sides of it, because it's so.
I lack focus. I wasn't
literally
interested.
just said that an hour ago in the class, Earl. Like, come on.
I was like, dude, I was talking to her.
And it made sense.
I was not listening.
To me, if it logically made sense, like math, it was so easy. Because it made sense that 2 minus 1 is 1.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I get it.
So if it made sense, it would stick. All I needed was an explanation of why this is what it is. Yeah. And then it would just stick from there.
And so when it comes to taming the mind, there are people that have a certain aptitude for stillness and focus. And then there's people where
I can't study.
I was about to say, it's much harder for other people to do that.
I'm trying to study for my real estate license right now, and it is so hard. If I was just in a classroom, it would probably be a lot easier.
Are you interested in the material? Because sometimes I feel like that's
interested in square feet and
that's what I'm talking about. Because I feel like if you're not interested, that's what makes it so much harder. Because the things that I'm interested in, it's very, very easy for me to get into.
I'm interested in real estate. I am. It's just these back end things.
Yeah.
Nobody is going to ask you once they purchase a house in 2 years on my 13th payment, how much % of interest am I paying? Nobody's going to ever ask you that.
You're interested in the getting to know people, talk to them, be a part of their life, get them the story. You're interested in that. You're interested in people and helping
half
people.
Of it. Yeah. The other half is I want to flip houses too and do interior design. Yeah. So this is kind of a back means or a way into that world to then do what I actually like. Yeah. It reminds me more of event coordinating, which is what I do.
Did you ever see the movie Jungle? I'm asking you about mad movies today.
You are.
This one is more of an indie. It's starring Daniel Radcliffe, who was Harry Potter.
Love him.
Except now he's a grown man in this movie.
He's so funny in everything after Harry Potter.
I know he got out and was just like, please just let me play something else. I'm sick of being this little fucking
Harry
wizard.
Potter,
and I was like, how are people going to take me seriously now? But he did really, really good, very well in this movie. But he was this sort of explorer, young 20-something or maybe, latter 20-something, maybe early 30s, but he's one of these backpackers, one of these adventurers that loves to go off into different parts of the country and all this sort of stuff. And you can tell he's been doing it for a while. And he finds himself somewhere in this fucking jungle with these people. They get split up, and then the movie starts. and he just has a rough go of it, to say the least. Finds himself in quicksand at a certain point in time. That scene seemed very real and visceral.
Did you think that quicksand was going to be a larger problem than it actually is growing up? Because I did. Quicksand was in every cartoon. Like, I thought I was going to run into quicksand like every other day. No, is it just me?
Did you think it was going to be a much larger problem?
You know, like piranhas, like quicksand, traps,
sticks of dynamite, just laying around.
Scooby-Doo for a while.
Oh shit! The stick of dynamite.
I thought criminals were gonna have masks on.
Oh my god, that's so fucking funny, man. That's so funny. Well, now in this day and age, a lot of criminals do wear masks because you don't know. They could just be like COVID. And they're just walking around.
The real monsters are humans.
You know? But either way, he goes through just the worst of things. I mean, clearly malnourished. He's, being chased by fucking mountain lions and shit. He's got to fight off mountain lions. They're fire ants finding him and eating him at night. There's just like, he's becoming emaciated through time, hoping that someone's going to find him. Mm-hmm. Won't ruin it for anyone that wants to watch the movie. Amazing movie, Jungle. Anyway, but at a point, towards the end, he finds himself on a beach and he's looking up and there's no light pollution at all. Beautiful. Wherever he's at. And he's looking up at these stars and all the greens and the purples and blues and everything up there. And he looks up after having the worst couple of weeks or so ever and just says, "Thank you." And I took that to heart. This idea of, okay, you know what? I thought that I was everything. I thought that I was this big, strong person that could just roam this world and do whatever they wanted. But the locals that live near this jungle never come in here. Only like the guides that know exactly how to get to one place to like get some resources and go right back into town.
Hey, there's a reason.
Like there's a reason. But here I am from wherever the fuck I'm from, coming over here.
From Hogwarts.
From Hogwarts. Now I'm in the jungle. I don't got my wand on me. No cloak of invisibility.
Can't Leviosa yourself out of this.
I'm just in this bitch. And you there's this sense of the deepest of humility looking into the cosmos. And you're just like, thank you. Like the way I interpret it, just thank you for this moment, I guess. Like I've been through all this. Just thank you for a moment. Thank you for just a moment of grace in you kicking my ass. Just thank you. And I think that in order for us to get further away from all this turmoil that just has such a grasp, such a grip on us constantly, we have to look past ourselves. And I'm not saying that you need to go just pick up whatever religion, I'm just saying, there's got to be something bigger than you. Like you have to get outside of yourself. A lot of these things that we've been talking about today have just been about me. And as long as you're just in there, I just imagine, especially from first person experience, because I've been this person, it just, you get in the way and you just fuck shit up every time. Every time I hear about people that do things at a very, very high level, they often express immense forms of gratitude and thankfulness, and a lot of them will express, anytime greatness is taking place, I wasn't doing it. I wasn't a part of that. I have to get out of the way in order for this to happen. But every time I try to insert and assert myself, thinking, oh, I can do this. I'm great. I'm me. It goes to shit. And I think we've seen that with artists. None come straight off to the top of my head, but I think when you start to drink your own Kool-Aid, like, oh, I'm great. You know what I've achieved? I've done this and that. I've written this song, or I've done this, whatever the case is, then you start to believe that you're great all on your own. And you stop putting in the hard work and like the necessary
Bad Bunny
and reverence. Oh no, wait, what?
So the last CD, I don't know if you've heard.
I haven't listened to the last one.
It's not as good as his other CDs, and I think too, it comes down to I can't really he's not trying so hard. He's singing a lot about how he's a success, how he's the best, and how he's rich now. And like, I can't relate. Like, great for you, but I can't relate.
So you pulled one out. See that? I guess
like
that's
the first thing that came to mind. Yeah, because it's not like a bad CD either, but it's not his best work. And you can definitely tell he's not putting in the same care and effort that he was at the beginning, where the CDs were something where you were hearing them all the time, and every single song, track after track, was just like amazing.
Does it make you sad? Did you like him a lot as an artist?
Yeah.
My first song was Soy Peor. That's the one that I heard. Yeah.
And honestly, when Bad Bunny first came out, I wasn't a huge fan of his music. I think I really started to respect him and actually listen to him more after the protests in Puerto Rico. Because he showed up there. He showed up for us. And just seeing somebody that cares about Puerto Rico as much as I do, and that is intelligent enough to fight for the right side and to actually do something about it, and just not send love and prayers, I thought was really awesome. So then that's when I really got into Bad Bunny and actually started listening to his music and like listening to the story he was telling and his creativity and just thinking outside the box. And it was something I could relate with him a lot, because the majority of the things that he was singing about or like vibing with was growing up in Puerto Rico the way that we did. You know, the Spanglish, the environment, the family, and like those values, and just the culture of Puerto Rico in general. So it was really cool to see how he evolved. And I'm excited to see what he's going to do next. Yeah. But right now he's in that phase where he needs to refocus.
Okay, I love that, what you just did. You have room. Well, I mean, not that I don't think anyone listening to you over the course of all this time would think that you didn't have, but that you have.
Thank you.
You have room for redemption for humans.
Absolutely.
You're a little lost on your path. I see you. We've all been there, but like, come on, get back.
Yeah.
Get back. You gotta refocus. You gotta regain that intention. Like, why are you doing this? Like, why did you start doing this?
One of my favorite sayings is pause for the cause.
Pause for the cause.
Yes. Overwhelmed, not sure what to do. Pause. Take a step back. Really think about it. Like, don't just keep on going and going and going to see what's going to happen. Really take a pause for yourself. Give yourself time to think.
I think on that note, we should end this. That was beautiful.
Good.
Thank you so much for coming here and doing this.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're 1,000%. Listen, I know you want to get out of here and go back to Richmond, but you're gonna have to come visit your family, and when you do, you got to pop over here more often. We got to do this again.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you everybody for listening. Peace. I appreciate you all, and I love you. Thank you.